All right, everybody. It's that time again. It's time for FranchisOR Bust. I'm your host, Trevor Emerson. With me, as always, is Katie.
Hello, everyone.
There she is. And we're super excited today to bring on another guest in the world of the franchise community. Her name is Lisa Mary, and she is the COO for Junk King and has many years experience working in the franchise space. So Lisa, we're very excited to have you. How are you doing?
I'm doing swell, Trevor, and you'll be happy to know I was recently promoted to president of Junk King. So yay, me!
Look at that, a promotion live on the air.
Live on the air.
Thank you for correcting me. That is an important distinction, and congratulations on
Thank you.
president.
Thank you. I've been in franchising for a very long time, 25 going on 30 years, and, have held positions all over the gamut from franchise business consultant to VP of operations. I was COO for 3 different organizations. And then just in the recent acquisition that Junk King went through in November of 2022, became the president. So it's been an exciting career.
Fantastic. Well, again, congratulations. We're excited to learn from you about the world of franchising, given your experience, and also obviously learn about Junk King, the brand that you are currently stewarding and running. So maybe let's start there. Let's kind of start with just a little bit about Junk King, so we can get to know the brand a little bit and a little bit about what makes you all successful and some of your values and culture and things like that. And then we'll dive in further as the conversation dictates.
That sounds great, Trevor. So I joined Junk King in August of 2019, and I'd come from a world of primarily child services type franchises, but always in the service industry. So making the jump into junk, literally, was not a huge jump for me. And what I found exciting about Junk King was several things. Number one, they had an incredible team built around an emerging brand. And they were kind of teetering on that point of just getting into a more developed and tenured brand. They were at about 75 units when I came on board. What makes Junk King so incredibly exciting is that in our world today of really disposable everything, people don't fix refrigerators anymore. They don't, reupholster couches anymore. Everyone tends to dispose and buy new. So when you look at the industry of hauling, it's really come a long way. And Junk King took a step to help professionalize that industry. They, provide fully uniformed men and crew that come in. The thing that we really pride ourselves on when we look at our differentiating factors are really 2 things. Number one, providing exemplary customer service. Absolutely key when you're going into someone's home to help them remove whatever it might be. Could be an entire house clean out because someone unfortunately passed away, or it could be because you have a, preteen going into teenage years and we're redoing a bedroom or something like that. So we have to remove furniture. The pandemic was interesting because everybody had to learn how to work from home. So all of a sudden the spare bedroom became an office or an area to do school. So that customer service, making sure we're meeting those customers' needs and arriving incredibly professionally is important. But the second thing, Trevor, that really allows Junk King to stand out from its inception in 2005, when Mike Andriacki founded the company with just 1 truck in his garage, they've been focused on recycling, and recycling in a number of ways. It could be donating, it could be repurposing, but the goal is to keep at least 60% of every one of our truckloads out of the landfill. And that's key in sustainability and so important, not only to individual consumers, but also, businesses or big organizations that we work with. And being founded here in California, certainly sustainability is, a key value and a core value for us.
You mentioned the importance of making sure that you have customer satisfaction. And a lot of that begins with the idea of how you process and systematize the way that you present yourself to a customer. Can you maybe expand a little bit on how you all prioritize sort of the systems that the franchisee can adopt and instill in the folks who are going to be front facing with the consumer, and why that is so important and fundamental to your business?
Sure. As any franchisor will tell you, across any brand, the mantra is Follow the system. And the key to a strong franchisor is making sure that you can provide as much support and training and guidance without stepping over that line of actually managing their actual business. When you look at Junk King, we start from all of our trucks are manufactured from one company and all to spec. So our franchise owners don't go out and buy their own trucks and put their own, decals on and that type of thing. Rather, they get them delivered, and then you have a place to buy uniforms, those types of things. But it really comes down to the training. All of the franchise owners' marketing phone numbers or email addresses are pointed to a centralized call center. So it allows us to keep that customer service high from that very first interaction. We make sure that every phone call is answered and handled in a very similar way. You can imagine if a franchisee or their crew member is out, carrying a couch down a flight of stairs and they have to answer a phone and try and set an appointment with a customer, that would be very difficult. So it allows our business model to start off on a very strong foot. Then we provide lots of training, not only here at the corporate office, but also through modules, video and conference calls, and with our franchise business consultants to work with each franchise owner, so that when our crews get to the location, they all have a standardized pricing sheet so that they're presenting their localized pricing in the same way. And then it's really about a conversation of, what do they understand the price point to be? How do we help them learn to be sellers? Because oftentimes, if you think about the basic labor force that we use, and they're incredibly important in our total ecosystem, but we're teaching haulers how to sell. And, that's very different than if you're part of a moving company and you're packaging everything up very carefully. Our crews have to go and talk with the customer and talk them through what does volume mean and what goes into the price. And then make sure that when we finish the job, something as simple as teaching our crews to sweep up and straighten up after we've completed the job allows us to get an incredible amount of 5-star reviews. Our NPS score, which many franchisors live and die by that NPS score, we're in the high 80s, low 90s every single month. That's in contention with some of the best customer service companies out there, even the Nordstroms and Microsofts of the world. So it's very exciting to see that even though we talk about customer service and we say to our franchise organization how important it is, they deliver on it each and every day. And it's visible in those Google reviews, Facebook reviews, Yelp reviews, everything that comes back and is measurable.
The greatest advertising you can have, and this is speaking from someone who's owned an advertising agency for 17 years, is referral and someone who trusts your brand. So that NPS and that system that you've built in order to truly execute excellent customer service is so fundamental and so excellent that you all have done that and focused your attention on that. So, okay, so you've got your system down, you're rocking and rolling when it comes to your customer and the way that the franchisees are able to really maximize their dollars because of the good systems that you all have put together, which is oftentimes one of the primary reasons someone gets into a brand is because they're looking to kind of have their own thing going on, but also adopt into a system that's going to be profitable. But then you also mentioned a minute ago about some of your core values and how those values probably also feed into the culture of Junk King. So sustainability, figuring out ways to not just, like you said, kind of fill up a landfill, full of things. So maybe talk a little bit more about that and how that potentially is a separator in your space, but also how that is something that funnels in also to just your culture and how those values really bolster up the franchise brand for your culture and in general.
Absolutely. As you can imagine, like I said, sustainability is just, in society today, such a conversation piece. And when you look at Junk King and what we do with what we're able to pick up out of a house, first of all, you'd be surprised at what people throw away. So we truly do live by the mantra, one man's junk is another man's treasure. But what's exciting about that is Oftentimes our franchise owners can take the repurposing and donating to the next level. And what I mean by that is it's more than just a goodwill, but rather our franchise owners have made partnerships with women's shelters, with veteran homes, where they can provide desks and tables and chairs and dressers and beds and things along those lines that those types of facilities are always in need of. I have several franchise owners here at Junk King that have made partnerships with Habitat for Humanity. So many people know that that is an organization that builds homes for needy families. And imagine if Junk King could come in behind that and basically furnish half the home just from what we've collected over time. You'll find the crews get very excited too, and they get very smart about what they're picking up. They recognize names on art pieces, on furniture pieces, and even things like little tin toys from the 50s or baseball cards. I was actually out on a job with a crew in my very early days here at Junk King. Went to an old storage unit, and when you opened the door, it had been closed for 28 years. So you can imagine everything in it was disintegrated. But in the very, very back of the storage unit, there were Matchbox cars and Cabbage Patch dolls still in their original boxes. So here's these, big burly guys that are cleaning out this storage unit, and then they drive away with these Cabbage Patch dolls in the front cab with them. And it's just, it's such an image in your mind. Yeah. But to know that those things then found a home, found a needy child, or were able to take them to a Boys and Girls Club, you'll find that philanthropic culture or as you say, value has really permeated not only into each individual franchise unit, but at the corporate level, our marketing team's been very focused on our partnerships. So for example, on Earth Day, we donate a tree for every job that's completed on Earth Day. We have a partnership with the American Heart Association. At Christmas time, we do a toy drive partnering with the Boys and Girls Clubs. So, it's all these exciting things to see how a value like sustainability, like keeping basic items out of a landfill, can really turn into this philanthropic, mindset from both the corporate level all the way down to each individual franchisee and, quite frankly, each individual crew member. Because if they pack that truck correctly and take care of those items, they then are able to donate or repurpose them later down the road.
Businesses and franchise brands both, thrive in a scenario where culture and not just culture, but like vision for where the brand is going, vision for what, the brand is about and how we're going to steward it, funnels all the way down, like you just mentioned, to, to the most base level employee who really understands what that is. So talk a little bit about, kind of where the next few years or so are going to go under your leadership, and what you all are looking to accomplish with Junk King, whether it's obviously increasing your presence, so more franchisees, how you may be looking to leverage technology, how you're continuing to pay attention to the aspects that a franchisee oftentimes is very excited about, which is how do you continue to set up systems that put more money in their pockets for becoming a franchisee, et cetera. So talk a little bit about the exciting things that are coming up.
Sure, absolutely, Trevor. When we look at the vision and the what's next with Junk King, because Mike Andriacki founded the company here in Silicon Valley, he's always been very tech aware and tech innovative when it comes to junk hauling. We have a proprietary point of sale system that allows our franchise owners to not only handle their scheduling and dispatching of all the trucks and make sure they're managing it in a smart way from a logistics standpoint, but it also acts as a CRM so that we can always be reaching out to our prior customers. And ultimately, the franchise owner at any given day can look at the profitability of a single truck, of the entire day, of the week, of a single crew. It really allows them to funnel down and make sure that they are, to your point, bringing as much of that money to the bottom line. But in doing so, the franchisor's responsibility, to your point, is to say, how do we continue to help our franchise owners succeed? Because one thing you and I both know from being in franchising for a very long time, when the franchise owners are profitable, when they're making money, all of a sudden, everybody's happier in the brand, right? And they're having fun, and it's all oars rowing in the same direction. And I'll tell you, it's been a struggle these last few years. We were, as Junk King was considered an essential brand during COVID, we were lucky that we didn't get hit as hard as some of the, whether it be child services brands or restaurants or fitness centers, by closing down. We were actually, because we're considered waste hauling, considered an essential business. So we were able to continue to work through the pandemic. It was a lot of pivoting, and you've heard that word 1,000 times during COVID. And even coming out of COVID, have been continuing to be successful. But then, this last year and a half, you look at inflation rates going up. You look at just the overall increase of price of everything, even if it's, a dozen eggs 6 months ago, right? Just went out of control. People are very cautious with their discretionary income. So our goal over these next 3 to 5 years is to make sure that we not only maintain that high level of customer service and ease of interaction with the customer. They can get us on our website, they can text, they can call, they can chat, but also to go a step further and make sure that we're offering the customer different types of service when they interact with Junk King. So we have our full service where we show up in a big red truck with two or more crew members, and we come in and we do all the work for you. About 5 years ago, we introduced dumpsters, so actual drop-off bins. And it's a 12-yard bin, which for those of you that don't understand volume, it fits very nicely in a driveway. It's not one of the big, huge ones that you would see on a construction site. So again, very customer, consumer, home base oriented. Just recently, within the last 2 months, we've launched a 3-yard dumpster bag. So something that a consumer can go onto our website, order the bag, throw it in their garage and, fill it up at ease. So making sure that we're giving the consumer many price points and many, ways, whether it's full service or self-service, to be able to figure out how to get rid of their junk. Not many people will say, oh, I can't wait to shove my couch in my, sedan and drive it off to the dump. That's not something people want to do. So as long as we continue to stay focused in our marketing on that ease of use, that, allow us to come and help you do these things. It's not like working in a garden. It's labor. And I'd rather see our customers go spend time with your kids, go spend time with your family, go do something more valuable with your time, and let us come and do the work. That's what we're here for. So, when you talk about vision, yes, it's growth in the number of units, but it's also making sure each and every one of our existing franchise owners is continuing to have the opportunity to grow and scale their business.
Excellent. So if we were kind of thinking about the ecosystem of the franchisor, so we know oftentimes, and rightfully so, franchisor is very committed and concerned with how are the franchisees performing, like what is going on, how do we hold them accountable to brand standards, how do we make sure those brand standards are going to succeed, et cetera, that are all super important. But how important is it also to pay attention to the actual kind of unit, if you will, that comprise the corporate team and the franchisor? Because what I've seen over the years, and I'm sure you have too, if that unit starts to maybe break down, or if that unit isn't really together with their values and their culture, you see that slow bleed go down into the existing community. So talk about maybe just some of your strategies and things that you've seen really work and what you guys do at Junk King to kind of keep that core franchisor group moving in the right direction.
Sure. So when Mike Andrzejewski founded the company in 2005, I had said he started with one big red truck in his garage. Quickly got to 2. And by 2010 is when they started franchising. So, he kind of knew right from the beginning that he wanted to be a franchisor. And right at that point, he started to build his management team. He had someone in charge of marketing, somebody in charge of finance, someone in charge of HR, and then certainly operations. And I think what was exciting about the brand is that when our first acquisition happened in April of 2019, the private equity the name is Norwest, and they're based out of Palo Alto here in Silicon Valley. When they came in, basically they were able to infuse money to build out that management team. So instead of just having one person in marketing, one person in finance, one person in operations, now we were able to build a team around each one of those, where the brand had never had franchise business consultants before, but rather just one person in charge of franchise support. And as you start to grow a brand, like you said, I mean, that gets out of control. All of a sudden now you're just taking inbound calls and you're more reactive in your support rather than proactive. So what I saw happen with the brand in 2019 as I came in as the chief operating officer is we were able to build out each of those departments, and it literally accelerated the growth to the point where in November of 2022, we were most recently acquired by Neighborly Brands. And Neighborly is, when you look at home services, they are the global leader when it comes to home services. So when you talk about brand standards and offering support, not only did we expand each of our individual departments here at Junk King, but in this most recent transaction in November, we then joined this massive home services conglomerate that allows us to now exponentially grow each one of those departments. Because now our franchise owners not only have Junk King as a resource, but they have top performers from all home services as peers, as cohort groups, as an opportunity to say, hey, you're using similar labor to us. What are you doing to find new staff members? You're going in and buying this type of advertising. What if we now all go together and do a Val Pack or TV or radio advertising? When you look at how we sell franchises, Trevor, we sell about 5 to 650,000 population. That's what our territories are based off of. And it's a protected territory, which is exciting for franchise owners. But it means there's probably only 3 or 4 franchise owners in each major market. Now that we've partnered with Neighborly and its other home services brands, now that gives a franchise owner in Chicago, instead of only 4 franchise owners to work with, now it could be 40 or 50 franchise owners. That starts to, again, bring efficiencies to the cost of marketing, which you being part of a marketing company know how quickly those costs can, continue to increase over the years. So I do find that not only offering support at a Junk King level, but now being able to offer the support that Neighborly brings to the table as well is going to really take both our brand as Junk King and our franchise owners to that next level. And it really is about building equity in the business they invested in. Everyone should have an exit plan, whether it's to, succeed the business on to their own family or employees, or at some point to have an asset to be able to sell. And hopefully our franchise group sees us building that asset with each one of these moves.
Well, you beat me to the punch on Neighborly, because certainly any person who's familiar with the franchise space knows that brand, and excited that you guys can be a part of that. And you're right, the capacity now to really grow Junk King and to really learn from the example of your fellow franchise brands underneath that umbrella is really an exciting and great opportunity for you guys. And I think the reputation inside of Neighborly for success is only going to be bolstered, with the addition of Junk King.
I would agree. And it brings value to our franchise owners because, again, when you look at their asset, they're not just Junk King now, but they're Junk King, which is a Neighborly brand. And again, the resources, we go from an IT department of 4 to literally 400 overnight. And the same thing is true for operations and is true for marketing. So, it's been an exciting acquisition over these last 9 months. Certainly, plenty of hurdles to overcome, but that's mostly just how do we merge into their systems. And each one of them has come out with a successful outcome. So it has been, exhausting, but certainly rewarding when it comes down to looking to what's ahead for the next 3 to 5 years.
Very exciting. And Lisa, the president of Junk King.
Good job, Trevor.
Got it. I'm on it. Very excited for you. Excited for the brand. We've learned a lot about how you all are able to, kind of take some of those core fundamental values that you've had from the beginning, infuse them into your culture, have that drive all the way down to, the systems and processes needed to make the consumer experience excellent, and make sure that they are going to become a big fan of yours, which you all are currently enjoying with your high NPS score, which is fantastic. So I would say the brand has already achieved great success, and there is certainly more to come with the addition of bringing on Neighborly as now a way to bolster up, and also having Lisa as the president, with someone who has so much experience in the franchise space, understanding how it works. Watch out, world. Junk King's going to take off. I can feel it.
Exactly. We're a strong number 2 and coming for number 1.
That's it. Number 1 is in sight, and you're going to get it. Well, we certainly appreciate having you on. It's been great to learn from you and learn about Junk King and the values and the culture and the way that you all can succeed in marketplaces, et cetera. So we really appreciate you. Thank you for taking your time with us. And if there's anything you'd like to leave us with, we'd be open to anything you have.
Thanks, Trevor and Katie. My parting comments would be, the next time you clean out your garage, attic, or a room in the back, be sure to call Junk King.
Absolutely. Katie's going to put it on speed dial, because we've got enough junk here in our office that it seems every other month we've got something we need hauled away. And I'm sure the folks listening have the same experience. So again, thank you so much, Lisa. We really appreciate you. Everybody, that wraps up this edition of FranchisOR Bust. Be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for our next episode. Until then, it's Trevor. It's Katie, this was one of her most engaged episodes, and we're out.
See ya.